Good morning. We're going to reconvene at 10:04 this morning, and I'm going to ask that Attorney Powers explain item 8.1, Central Warehouse bid.
As you recall, Board, we were here recently regarding the sale of Central Warehouse as well as a vacant lot property nearby. In those cases, as to the property in the vacant lot, I've included that property information with the agenda item for today, specifically because in conversations that we had on the record, as well as conversations that I've had with Attorney McGraw, there was a need for that to have a specific execution date after he finalized the contractual language. And so I've provided for your viewing there the execution amendment that allows that to be a November 21st execution and allows us to proceed forward. So on a separate note, I would just like to indicate that with the board's permission, given that you've already accepted as to the sale of the vacant property, that there will be an execution date of today. If I can get consensus that you confirm that. Okay, looks like we have consensus. As to the second item, item 8.1, this is as to the sale of the warehouse property. The board was presented with a number of bids. Those bids ranged. The board reviewed that and also reviewed the appraisals. And based on those, the board determined at that time that it would reject those bids. The board would then proceed to seek highest and best offers from all bidders. Attorney McGraw has done so, and Attorney McGraw will address you today regarding the results of that.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us. As Attorney Powers was stating, we did reach out to all bidders to see if there would be a highest and best, or if anyone wanted to increase their offer. After multiple communications with everyone, the bidders decided to stay where they were at and stated that they had each made their highest and best offers at this point. So I don't see them coming up at all anymore, and the board's option will be to accept what's on the table or to reject all the offers. So at this point, you do have the highest and best offer, which was the Palm Capital Partners at the $1.4 million, all cash, no contingency, with a 15-day inspection due diligence period. So that is what appears to be the best offer on the table, and I would defer to the board for your discussion to determine if that is something that you want to move forward with, or if you wanted to pass on it, and so we could notify the parties that we were going to reject all offers and move forward with a different structure or mechanism to sell the warehouse.
And to clarify, we had previously rejected all offers, but the question then was we would ask each to come back with the highest and best. The highest and best is still that the $1.4 million for that property, and that is after further inquiry, there's been no change in that position. So now at this point, they've indicated they are still interested at the 1.4 level, but are not willing to move forward. So the board now has to make a determination whether to accept that as a highest and best, or whether to continue to reject all bids. And in that case, the opportunities that the board would have would be to relist, go down a different path, perhaps allow, bring a realtor in, have specific walkthroughs available, additional marketing, a number of factors that the board could set up and determine, and have Mr. McGraw handle those to the degree the board sees fit in order to make sure that we can maximize the sale and value of that property beyond that 1.4 million. Apart from that, and now that of course the board will consider that takes time, and it also it will take additional funds and resources in order to achieve that. We don't know exactly, the unknown is we don't know how much more we'll spend or how much more time we'll spend in order to achieve an end result, nor do we know what that end result will be, if it will be better or not. So given those factors, Attorney McGraw, who's been involved in these discussions, negotiations, and also is aware of a lot of the details of the property. We'll be able to advise you further if you have any further questions.
Okay, open up to the board. Dr. James?
Attorney McGraw, did you come today with recommendations for a realtor?
I don't have specific recommendations today for a realtor. Today was coming to discuss to see if the board had any interest at all in reviving the existing offers on the table, specifically the 1.4 for the commercial warehouse building.
Okay. I thought that was something we had discussed as a board, because if we do reject, then we will have to have another work session to discuss realtors before we're able to list. And so I did think that was something we had discussed. But board, my recommendation, since this is under the appraised value, is to reject this bid, best and final, and take it to the market with a realtor who will show the property effectively and appropriately, and with the end goal being that we get an offer at one point higher than this, higher than 1.4, so that we walk away with the appropriate amount of money.
I agree.
I concur.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right, Board Member Thrower. Okay, it sounds like we are in agreement.
So my request then would be that either a recommendation for a realtor is emailed to all of the board members or something, or are we giving discretion to Mr. McGraw to make that unanimous decision and move forward? Like, I think the board needs to have a level of discussion today about what our next steps are. I personally am comfortable letting Mr. McGraw make that decision with my personal experience with Mr. McGraw and his work. I have confidence that he can pick an appropriate realtor, and we can move forward with like I would like a short listing agreement, and like the terms be incredibly short, and we just put it out and do what we need to do, but with set market terms that are appropriate in the industry. That would be my recommendation, board, but certainly what everyone else has.
I'm in agreement.
Okay, I'm hearing from Reverend Cummings. Anyone else?
My only question to that is, do we also come to terms with the commission agreed upon amount and those sorts of things? Because certainly trust your judgment on the individual, not certain that we don't need to weigh in on at least some factors of what that looks like.
Sure.
What we would be doing is creating a contract for the realtor as well. And Mr. McGraw and I would work on doing that, and we'd present that to the board. Essentially, at that point, we would be giving you our recommendation for what the appropriate terms of retaining the realtor are. And I would prefer to be able to make those decisions, rapidly, so that we don't have
And
to.
that contract would have to be on a board meeting.
Depends on what the amount is for, but generally, yes.
So we have a December 10th board meeting. They could button up what they need to button up in the next
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll get back and advise the board, and I'll set it as soon as possible. As of right now, I would not say that it's likely that we're going to be able to put that on a December 10th board meeting,
Why?
because I
don't-
am reluctant to set things for a board meeting that I cannot discern exactly how long it's going to take.
Mr. McGraw, do you have 1, 2, 3 realtors in mind that would be appropriate to list this property?
I have some realtors in mind that I would reach out to. I think I would, to the point as to what the commission would be. I think the cap on that commission would be a 6% commission, which would be pretty typical. And what I think I would do is try to determine if either of these realtors would accept a lesser commission to move forward. And so I would like to see some sort of a cap that you guys agree that 6% or less, and then we go and negotiate with those realtors to find out who can offer the best bang for the buck, frankly.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
And could we have a list of realtors moving forward? Certainly, I can have.
I feel comfortable with you making the decision, but board member Thrower has.
I was going to say that we could put it as a placeholder for the December 10th meeting, and then that way we're not getting to the problem of not having it timely advertised.
Absolutely. Under discussion.
Yes. That's a great idea.
Mr. McGraw, do you feel like in the next, obviously being aware that there is a holiday ahead of us, do you feel like you are able to have discussions with realtors who I know you have relationships with and you work with regularly and come to some kind of agreement by December 3rd?
I believe we can make that happen within that time frame. I will immediately get on the phone with realtors that I know and have a relationship with that I think would fit this job well, and see if we could start getting something moving today and tomorrow, so that we can come back with a report for Attorney Powers, and we can start getting those.
And the contract would be a standard listing agreement. That would be a standard agreement that would be used in commercial real estate.
That's correct, yeah, and do understand, the process that we just went through was one where we had a highest and best auction, essentially, where we had the ability to accept or reject whatever we wanted to as a board. Those potential buyers did not have the ability to walk the premises. They didn't have any ability to do any type of physical look other than driving around on the public streets. So I just want to clarify that when we do the listing agreement, we have the authority to allow the agent, including myself, if you'd like, to walk through the properties with these potential purchasers, because I think that's going to allow you to get more offers at a higher amount rather than having no one come to the property. That becomes a tougher sell. So the listing agreement would include provisions, a standard listing agreement will include provisions that say that, the property will be accessible for the agent to walk through prospective purchasers. I just want to make sure that there's no objection to that.
Shown like any typical property.
Shown like any typical property. Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
So the advertisement for this, for the December 10th, board clerk would need to be, in order to achieve a advertisement for that, when are you advertising for the December 10th?
December 3rd.
December 3rd. Okay, so the placeholder would need to be in place. Now, I will point out that we can get a placeholder. I'm in court all day tomorrow. Next week I can get a placeholder on that agenda. However, the latter portion of that week being Thanksgiving, and then board and your attorney are all at conferences the following week. So that's going to require that independently, I'm going to need for you to work with that realtor or the realtors and get together the contract information that we need so that I can drop it onto an agenda as an open item. Okay?
We can make that happen.
And then my only other question, board, is the listing price. So are we giving Mr. McGraw and the realtor the discretion to set the listing price? I think that would be most appropriate, but do we want to put parameters in for the listing price that we're setting? Sorry, Mr. McGraw, if that's overstepping, but I just didn't want.
I think the realtor may want to have input on that as
I totally agree.
I agree too.
So I would like to offer discretion to the realtor and Mr. McGraw to set the listing price. Certainly above 1.4.
Above 1.4, absolutely. Yes.
Can we say within the appraisal range?
Agreed.
at or above the appraisal range, right?
Okay. That would be what I would like.
Okay. Yes, I think we're in agreement.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Anything else that we need to discuss on this topic?
Well, I think we need to make a motion to approve and then vote on it, right?
We need to make a motion to,
We have two separate motions because we also have to approve the contract for the other.
No, on that one, it's already been approved. I am just bringing it to the board's attention that it will have that amendment will have an execution date as of the 21st. And I've gotten consensus based on your prior approval, and so that we can ensure that that is an execution date of the 21st. So all I was asking for consensus for is as to that amendment, which allows for the execution date to be the 21st, because you've already voted to approve on the vacant property.
okay.
So do we have to vote, or since we've already rejected all bids, do we need to vote again on this same bid because the bid is the same?
I would vote to reject highest and best. The highest and best at 1.4, that's on for today. So that we have set that as our cycle that we're going to do, that we would consider highest and best. And now, based on what the board is indicating, a motion to reject that as a highest and best.
Madam Chair, I motion that we reject the highest and best offers that have been given to us today, and that we move forward with the process.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you. Dr. Campbell, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, and that is a motion passing for rejection. So the item that is on there is rejected.
Thank you. All right. Do I need to ask for public comment on this topic? Is there any public comment?
No, Madam.
All right, hearing and seeing none, there is no further business. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Reverend Cummings, second by Board Member Thrower. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned at 10:19. Thank you.